Happy Friday, Miami. This is Buy, Sell, Hold Miami, a real estate podcast. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club, joined here by my partner, my co-host, the moderator, Daniel Hernandez from Compass Real Estate in Coconut Grove. He does single-family houses as well as condos. Daniel, happy Jackson Hole, Wyoming Day.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming. What's going on in Jackson's Hole? Peter, wrong podcast.
Three things happen in Jackson Hole. One, you got the Grand Tetons. Translate that into French, from French into English, and you'll be surprised. Number two, you got Yellowstone. But number three is the reason we're talking about Jackson Hole. Old man Warsh, Kevin Warsh, brand new chairman of the Federal Reserve, gave his first speech at Jackson Hole, where all the international bankers around the world, they all huddle in this fat cat area, which I've been to. If you like fly fishing, great place to go. And he came out and he said he's got to deal with inflation, which means interest rates have to go up, which is housing goes down, Daniel.
So that's interesting because I'm pretty sure that who's that guy who lives up there on Pennsylvania Avenue? I'm pretty sure the guy that put him there wanted interest rates to go down. Yeah, what's his name? The Donald, right?
Donald Trump, as we know, interest rates go up, housing goes down, everybody. And with Kevin Warsh's speech, and this is the most influential speech of the year the Federal Reserve Chairman will give. Used to be Jerome Powell, old man Powell, but he got pushed out because he would not cut interest rates. Kevin Warsh comes out swinging, and he says he's probably got to raise rates. That's not what Donald Trump wants to hear. That's not what anybody in real estate wants to hear.
That wasn't on the bingo card for the midterm elections, was it?
It was not on the bingo card, but the projections, the anticipation of interest rates going up, a Federal Reserve hike next month in September, 50-50. Many people were saying we're going to get cut. Now it's flipped the other way. We got the 10-year Treasury, which everything's based on, coming in at somewhere in the vicinity of 4.75. It's going to 5, Daniel, and you had 3 points for a mortgage rate.
Potato, tomato. Everybody buys cash here in Miami anyway, Peter. At least that's what they'll tell you, right?
Well, that's what they say.
Peter, I got a surprise for you today. I don't know if you saw it on our shared calendar. Peter, you don't do that email thing, right? You're like Bill Clinton. You don't send your own emails. Well, we got a guest.
I'm nothing like Bill Clinton.
Yeah, you're much more handsome. Much more handsome than Bill. So Pete, this gentleman I'm about to bring on, he's been on the shared calendar for 2 months now. He was supposed to come on before Memorial Day, and he's just been so busy. This guy, he's a Brazilian architect turned brand creative strategist. I don't know if that's exactly the title that he prefers, but I'll let him tell you yourself. Enrique Dressen, he's the founder and CEO of Elephant Skin. And he says the world is full of dogs. You got to be more like an elephant. So in a competitive market with all these condos going up, you need to hire a guy like him to make sure that your thing actually sells. Either that or you got to pay a vig to a hospitality brand like the Four Seasons or the St. Regis. Why not just pay Mr. Dressen and he can come up with an original idea for you so you can market your thing. So I'm going to bring him on right now and he can tell everybody about, well, who he is, and then we're going to get into the show because he's going to buy, sell, hold with us, Pete. Enrique.
Love it.
Henrique. He's so worldly, I can't even pronounce his name right. What's going on, pal?
Hello, guys. How are you? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. And it's Enrique, whatever you guys
What
want.
does your wife
As
call
long
you
as
when you're in
easy.
trouble?
Man, like it's come here now.
So
But yeah,
Enrique,
man,
give us a little background. Give everybody a little bit of background on how,
sure.
well, not how you got on the pod, but how you got this interesting job that I just kind of talked about. But it seems like nobody else in the world that I know can actually make a living on advising developers on what they should or should not build.
So, man, it's an interesting story. I kind of like started when I was young, doing advertising. I started the graduation, I didn't go through, and then I stopped it. I changed it to architecture, and I always liked the advertising area. But then during my architecture graduation, I started to work with some developers, and I started to like it, the development side. So long story short, imagine that I kind of like I put everything together, like the advertising part, but dedicated to projects with the knowledge in architecture. And then it came up Elephant Skin, like we're basically that. We're an advertising agency, kind of like a consulting company dedicated only to real estate developers. And we started in 2017, end of 2017, beginning of 2018. Was only me, with a vision. I changed sides, I was in the development side, and I thought it would be more helpful working with the developers. And that was happened, like I changed sides. It was just me. Today we are more than 100 people spread in different
Wow.
locations. We have operations in US, Canada, Dubai, Vietnam, Lisbon now. And basically everybody wants the same thing: how we sell. That's kind
How
of
do you
like what
sell?
unites the world. Yeah.
Do
And here we
I'll tell
are.
you, Enrique, I'll tell you, you cut interest rates. We're going the wrong way.
True, true.
so Enrique, and then everybody who's just joining us for the first time today, have you ever seen the show before? Did anybody make you watch the show, or are you coming in totally green?
No, I watched some of the episodes to understand where I was stepping in, like to understand like what was happening here before I just jump in out of the blue.
And you still agreed to show up. God bless you. Um, so anybody just joining us for the first time today, you included, this is buy, sell, hold. And on the bottom left of your screen, if you're looking at us on mobile, right there in the middle, that's what we call a rundown, Enrique. And so week after week, Peter and I throw these stories together. And I want full disclosure that I sent Enrique these topics yesterday. So he could have looked at him, he could have not. We're not going to be too mean to him. We're going to ease into it today. And at the end of each topic, we're either going to buy because we agree, we sell because we disagree, or we hold because we don't know. And you can not know. You can say, I don't know. Sit back. You're an adult and just watch and eat some popcorn. So with that, Enrique, here in Miami, we got branded condos. I think it started with Desert and the Trump, and then he did the Porsche, and now we got Armani Casa, we got a Frida Kahlo, we got Mercedes, or maybe we don't have Mercedes, but there are just so many brands coming in. I think we're second to only Dubai in the sheer number of branded condo deals coming into town, and you hold developers' hands from the very beginning, as I understand this. Is the branded condo thing, are we just going through a phase, or are we in the very early innings of that? And that's why we're still in the first inning of brand partnerships for condos is the first topic.
I think there's a misconception, like about what the brand would do with the project. So I like the branded niche. I think that's really interesting. But if you work with services, if you work with something that adds something with the brand, to put a brand just like as you are putting the logo in the building, that doesn't make much sense, and you're gonna pay like high prices at the end. Like there's a gap. We need to remember that when we develop the project, it takes like 2, 3, 4, 5 years to develop that. The brand should be the one helping you throughout those years to kind of like engaging the buyers, doing the concierge services, offering you what you're going to expect at the end. That's what the brand should do. And then when you jump in, and that it makes sense to pay like a 15, 20, 30% more because you are getting like the service, you are getting something that the brand going to give to you. But if I'm paying more just to live at Mercedes-Benz, for example, I'm probably gonna have some complaints where and I'm saying here, like, I don't know if they're gonna have this kind of like service, but like I think the brands needs to be more like a help during the phases of the project and needs to offer something, and that's why you are bringing them inside your project, and not just because like there's a logo and I'm not creative enough, or like I'm lazy to come there and create like a strategy or create a project or create something that are going to connect with people. The gap that we saw in the market, that's why we started Elephant Skin, was because like the developers, they are really good doing spreadsheets and understanding like how they compare the markets, but they are not good connecting with people, like really like speaking with them, like understanding what they want, what they don't want, and being honest, like and brand and marketing, it's not supposed to be something that sells. It's supposed to be something that makes people paying attention, and I put you sit in front of the developer, and nobody's gonna sell better than him. That's our goal, and the brands should do that. Like increase the value that you have on the project, the services, and help you with that, and not just like hey, I'm doing here because yeah, I didn't have time to think about the names or think about color palette or think about the branding or how I should use, so I'm gonna use someone and I'm gonna put there like a car logo in the place. That's what I believe, the branded, and I think it's fine. It's the first phase of the brand. People are still learning. Even the hotel brands that they have the services on the hotels, they're still learning how to deal with the residentials, and that's fine. But I think if it doesn't change for the second phase, I think people gonna stop doing that and try to do another thing, because you need to have returns on that, and the returns, you need to remember, we don't develop like for next year. We develop for the people like in 5, 6, or 4 years. That's what I think.
Pete, we've seen now, I think just last week, the branded Four Seasons in Surfside has broken its own record yet again. They're well over $7,000 a square foot resale for a Four Seasons branded condo. We've looked at the data that hospitality branded, and you pointed it out, Enrique, that the hospitality guys, since they're already in the hospitality industry, they sort of already know how to do it. They know how to deal with people. Yeah. What the hell how many customers does Aston Martin actually deal with every year? There's probably more units in the Aston Martin condo tower than cars than they sold in the last couple of years. How many Aston Martins get sold in a year? So like Armani Casa, and I'm not saying anything bad about Armani Casa, but the actual ability to deal with people. They are customer service brands, and I think that's why we've seen success in the hospitality side.
Agree.
But how much more room is there for this to grow? Or I guess how many straws can we grasp at? We've seen cars. We see Dolce and Gabbana, which is a perfumery, I guess. We see the likeness of cultural icons like Frida Kahlo. Peter and I have talked about maybe like an HVAC company, and then they could advertise that they're the coldest building in all of Miami. Peter, what were some of the other ideas we were throwing out there? A Coca-Cola building? It's got great brand recognition.
There's so much to get here, Enrique. Enrique, I want you to point me in the right direction. I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm not saying I know it all, but let me tell you what I think. I think the only reason you use a brand is you got no name brand recognition. You got no street cred. Nobody knows who the hell you are, and this is a way to kind of get on the board. I would point out maybe it'd be the Mercedes-Benz project. Maybe it would be the new Breitling project named after the watch, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right. If you go back in the day, the first person to put it on the board was a guy called Michael Deser, Old Man Deser, and his kid, Gil Deser. They brought in Donald Trump because he was doing the Apprentice show. This is before he was thinking about building ballrooms and stuff. And nobody knew who the hell the Desers were. They came down here. They started trying to peddle condos. They had to bring in the Trump brand in order to sell this stuff. So to me, you only bring in a brand if you got no street cred. That's why you bring in a brand. And then when you do bring in the brand, what are you facing? You're facing the possibility that this licensing agreement could go BK in the United States. A bankruptcy judge could sign his name on it or her name, and the thing disappears, just like we saw with the Canyon Ranch over on 69th and Collins.
The SLS in South Miami Avenue.
I don't know if they went BK, but I know there were some issues.
They didn't go BK, but they had the license. It's called DUA now, by the way.
DUA. That's what it is. So to me, Enrique, the only reason a developer gets a brand involved now the hotel's a little bit different, hotel brand. But the only reason the developer gets a brand involved is they got no street cred. They have not built up a following here where they're going to be able to sell it. Now they might be great somewhere else. But you come to South Florida, you come to Miami, it's probably not going to fly. And the reference was made Dubai and Miami. Miami's number 2, I guess, with brands. What do they have in common? Vanity.
Sunshine,
Condos are commodities.
Easy to do business. OnlyFans.
Condos are commodities. They are rebar. They are cement. They are glass. They trade like commodities. They're no different than oil. They're no different than pork bellies. No different than salty snacks. And Daniel, I got a new one. No different than tokens for AI services. It's a commodity. You got to add some value to it. You charge 20% more for a brand, you pay the brand 10%, they come in, they kiss some babies, they shake some hands, which, by the way, that's what Donald Trump did with all his projects in Sunny Isles Beach. And at the end of the day, they disappear. You fall out of line with them, they cancel the licensing agreement. Next thing you know, you lost 20% of your equity, just like Canyon Ranch did once the bankruptcy judge signed that name. And the Canyon Ranch, which is a brand for holistic living in New York and Arizona, it reverts back to the Carillon, and nobody knows what the hell it is anymore. So that's my understanding, but I'm probably looking at it from the bear side. So maybe you could give me a little bit more details.
No, the thing is like that's why when you put everything in the same basket, you mentioned. I'm not saying about the hospitality. Everything is branded today. You know, like you call branded.
Yes.
But like even you mentioned Desert. I don't know him personally, but if I know, like I remember that he's a huge fan of cars. Like he's a collector, I think. So now
Yes.
he became like curator. But who knows if not he just did the project because like he's a fan and it was part of his vision and he did the project, you know. And that time was not branded. At that time was like a beauty with a vision, with a name, and that was a positioning. At that time, he did a positioning with the Porsche Tower or with the bit, but now became a thing, and that's where the problem starts to happen. You know, like that's where I have a I have a cousin that if he hears me saying that, he's gonna laugh. But when he started the crypto thing, you know, like I went to him and then I told him like, hey, I bought some crypto, and he looked at me and said like, that's where the problem starts to happen when people like you start to buy this type of stuff because I didn't know shit, you know, like I was not my thing. And that I think is the same thing with the developers. They use that, and when this starts to become a simple thing without the storytelling around, do not without know how to do it and why you are doing, that's where you start to have a problem. You have like a licensing that is revoked and then you need to change and then it's not a plan, or you sign a brand, the brand doesn't give you like what they need to do, and then you start to get pissed with the brand because the brand is just like waiting, they release the name and then they get out. But it's different, like if you put branded in the same package as hotels, or for example you have like the well, you know, that it's doing, there is a meaning behind that. They have wellness, they have the amenities, they are bringing a brand to offer this. It's kind of like if you open a store. I need Four Seasons. Why they're selling? Because people want to live in Four Seasons. It's simple, you know, like what hits is selling because people want to live in hits. I don't want to live inside you
However,
know, like
however, however, I got to interrupt you here. What I've been told about all these hotel brands, the hotel company's not running it. What happens is they train the in-house personnel to do things the way they do it. But the hotel company's not running it. It's not like wherever Hyatt or Four Seasons is based. They don't have their
but
employees there. They're simply educating their train.
No, that
So it's
would be
almost like a
very expensive.
franchise. But
but
it's
I
almost like
think
a
but I think that's
franchise.
yes, but I think that's part of the process. Even the hotels, and that's pure opinion. We are doing some projects and we are helping them to structure. Even then, they are starting to understand how much they need. What's the team that they need to run the resident? Like, how many residentials you have ready right now? Do you know, like we have Aston Martin. It's one of the first projects that was ready, like after the whole branded thing. So people, especially the hotels, I believe they are still understanding, you know, what's the process, what happens. But that's the thing. They are not developers. They are operating projects. So they
Right.
forget again the process between when you launch, before like pre-launch, launch process, and then after you enter. They are really good after you deliver the projects. And that's, I believe, what is the expectation, for example, for Seasons and this kind of like projects. And but like I think Four Seasons is doing a good job. You know, the brand is out there. You know, they're kind of like delivering what they are preaching. So, but again, I think they need to understand more the development process, and that's where we normally jump in to kind of like we're not promising sales or not promising anything, but we're promising that hey, we're gonna hold hands here and we need to review the contracts of the brands. We need to understand if it makes sense or not. We need to understand what's going to happen on the process during the launch. We need to understand if it makes sense to do like a multi-million-dollar event or it makes sense to use the brands throughout. So these kind of things, I think it's what's missing. And I think the developer, when they jump in that area, they kind of like became a hostage of like, hey, let's see what's going to happen. And what happens, they bring like the brokers are not trained by the hotel, so they don't know how to sell these they don't have the expertise
Right.
of the
So it's actually
hospitality.
doing damage to the brand because you're bringing people that know nothing about the brand.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It's kind of like people doing whatever. Like you have a guy that want to sell without like if you just want to sell, you have the hotel brand or the brand that kind of like it doesn't give you like a playbook on how to use it, the brand or what's they can expect, and you have the developer kind of sitting there and say like, I need a guy to sell for me. Need the brand because now I have attached to the brand. What should I do? And I believe all these things needs to start since the beginning. Like we need to coordinate all those pieces since the beginning and make them work side by side. The speech, the storytelling, and everything that's happening needs to walk side by side. But my opinion is like a brand per brand is regular brand. It's not branded residence. Like it's a project with a name. It could be
Right.
whatever.
They're just
But
paying a
hotels
thing.
is different.
We got to move on to the next.
Enrique, well, if I could just ask one question. Enrique,
more.
let me ask you a question, a big picture. So 1990s, a lot of companies going to China. In order to build stuff in China, you got to go 5149. You got to share how you make it. And China says, yeah, we'll do it. We'll put it up, not a problem. They get the R&D, they learn how to do it. And you know what they do? They start competing. Our developers who are using brands basically running themselves out of business. Maybe some of them don't care because many of them are old.
They're not builders, they're operators. He just said it.
Yeah, but why can't these brands, once they go through the process of the training wheels, getting paid to lend their name to it, why can't they simply go and do it on their own? Why the hell do they need some developer who's doing a one-off? It doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it sounds like Apple going into China.
Normally they are doing the opposite. Like the brands want to sell the assets. They want to. It's easier to keep operating. Instead of the process of development. People forget. People see the building is ready, but they forget. Like I tend to say to developers, like, hey, don't worry about us. We're not the last cookie in the package. Like we know our place. You have the approvals, you have the lenders, you have the process, you have the architects, you have everything. So the whole process to do that and develop, it's the opposite. The operators, they want to do the opposite. They just want to go. It's an easy task if you think. You go there, you plug your brand, you let them do it, and that's it. Instead of like having the whole trouble to have the assets. Most of the companies are selling the assets, not keeping the assets to the ones that still have.
But if you're selling a condo, you're in and you're out. You sign a long-term agreement, so you do the property management. You're collecting cash, and somebody else has sort of got the risk.
You're not really out because that you got to deal with the HOAs that are such a dream to deal with, as we know.
And you have the time to do all of that, like the timing that you have, for cash flow, for the amount of years that you have, and the liability. Honestly, like if I'm a brand, I would prefer be a brand. With all the operations, but like kind of like delivering the operation, delivering the process, delivering the playbook, kind of like a plug and play. And I let the developer like do what I need to do, and I'm go there and just keeping the second part, for the project.
I gotta move us along. I gotta move us along.
Sorry, but last point. But many of these brands are publicly traded, and if you're publicly traded, you constantly got to expand your ability to raise cash. How better to raise cash than to move into this component? So that's just my final thought. Sorry.
Buy, sell, hold, Enrique. We're in the first inning of branded condo partnerships.
Nah, I buy, but with some adjustments.
He's buying.
I buy.
He's buying. No surprise there, Mr. Zalewski.
Well, Gil Deser and his father, Michael Deser, they got down here in 2000 or so, Old Man Deser, maybe even before that, probably before that. So I would say pound the table, sell, punch somebody in the mouth. I'm so confident this thing is way past its run that, I got to go the complete opposite way. And I'm talking about Miami only, though.
Miami only. I'm holding only because you said something interesting, Peter. I don't think that they're pushing out the developers. I actually think that they're pushing out the likes of First Service Residential, who have been taking $150 a foot for eons from these homeowners and delivering 50 cents worth of product. Now these hospitality brands are coming in here. They're getting $250 a foot for HOA, but they might actually be delivering a half-assed product. And that's all I'll say about that. This parlays straight into the next topic, though. Building is easier in Miami versus the rest of the world. Enrique, you are a well-traveled guy. You can say your name in no less than 16 and a half languages. You got offices in Vietnam, Brazil, all over the world. I'm going to say Dubai, which is kind of our mortal enemy here in Miami. But that's what I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about Dubai, right? So a developer John calls you. John's a good, strong American name. And then a developer also named John, because there's a lot of Brits living in Dubai. John from Dubai calls you. They're both developers. They're both building buildings. What is John from Dubai asking you that the John from Miami isn't asking you, or vice versa? Or do they all just want the same thing, to get their cash and get the hell out?
They normally want it's similar in some ways. They want everything for yesterday. They want to launch like tomorrow, and they want to sell everything like on day -2. So like
And if they can't do it, it's your fault.
kind of like we help like with the problem. But anyway, like the question that you asked, like it's a similar way to kind of like buyers. But if it's easy, then the rest of it, no way. Like Miami and people, Miami, it's challenging, man. Like it's really difficult. Imagine like this: we do things. I'm gonna use Brazil as an example. Okay, Brazil is a country, and you have like you can enter in Brazil through north to south to center. You can enter throughout like all of the gates that you have in Brazil. Imagine that Miami is not a city, Miami is a country, because you receive so many cultures, so many people, but you have only one door. It's kind of like everybody kind of like enter Miami through the same door. So they normally speak with the same people, they have the same people approaching. What Miami needs, it's hard because people come here and they kind of like became afraid of the language, afraid of like the investment. So they start to see for people like, how can I do business? How can I develop? And a lot of people with money, they come into Miami and they say like, how can I make money? But the guy owns like a supermarket somewhere. He never developed before. But in Miami, they told us that like, hey, we need to do development because development is a good thing. And you need to put your money on development. And then he starts to try to do by himself, or he partners with someone. But they don't do research. They don't do like, it's kind of like people in the gates, of the entrance, kind of like say, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And that's, I believe, where the problem starts to happen, and that project starts to have problems, and then the process, because it's a place. That's why you have like a lot of people in Miami, like old school developers, that's still there, and people, they keep doing what they are doing. And what happens? You have like developers in Miami that goes up like 1 year and down the next year, and you have like developers that are there like doing maybe one project per year for like forever, and they're there. Like because they know how to do it, but it's hard to access these gates. That's not the entrance of Miami. That happens where you start to understand how the market works. You need to understand what's your people, and you need to understand that real estate, it's not for everyone. If you have a building, you have like 100 units, you cannot sell 102. Two people gonna be out. I need to be more like focus on who is my audience, who is my people. Like what people do I need to sell and build the project around. So I don't think Miami is easy at all. Like I think Miami is really, really challenging. The markets are like if you are one tip that I give to a new guy that is coming, it's like, if you are enter the market and you are putting a project in some location because it's booming and everybody's there, especially in Miami, you are too late.
You're too late.
You're late.
So
you are too late in the process.
So Peter always says, and I'm probably cutting Peter off here, but he says you need 3 projects to be taken seriously in this town. The first one, you're gonna spend way too much money. The second one, you're gonna get screwed, and then by the third one, well, Peter, what happens after the third one? They start taking you seriously in town, huh?
Yeah, a developer comes in from out of town. They think they know everything. They're going to bring their school of thought. I would compare it to what would be a Cheshire cat living in a mansion. Next thing you know, it gets thrown out in the alley and it gets scraped or it's beat around and everything. You need 3 deals on the board of Miami. Until you do it, it doesn't matter who you are. We got a boy from Russia who came here. He's a billionaire throwing around cash. He's gotten his ass handed to him, though. And now ultimately he's done 3 deals. He's still walking straight. I don't know if he's still as pretty as he was, but at the end of 3 deals, now you're legit. Now they need to bring you out. Why? Because you know the rules of engagement. You know how it operates. You know where you're going to get shaken down by this city and this general contractor.
Shakedown in Miami? No, we don't do that here, Peter.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's almost like contractors. Contractors will put out their license and they'll sign off on something. You do all the work and then you pay them for their expertise and for their access. That's effectively what a developer, in my opinion, who's done 3 deals can basically do in Miami. And the other ones who come here, they're one and done. And let me give you a perfect example. Mr. Alan Faena came up here from Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was rocking and rolling.
He's back, baby. He's back. He's back. He's back.
He had the hat. He built a cultural center. We had the Faena district. One and done. He left, sold his house. And you know what? He said, maybe I got the taste for it. Let me come on back. So he went from building on the Atlantic, Miami Beach. Now he's going to North Bank of the Miami River.
And you know, he sold out. He sold out to that aforementioned Russian, by the way, where he's putting the Amman now. Vlad's putting the Amman on the old Faena, the old Versailles site.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. So I would just sort of point that out there to everybody. I mean, this is a tough market. Enrique, I would say Silicon Valley does technology. Miami does condos. We get people from all over the world here, yourself included, who come here. They bring this school of thought. They bring this expertise. And that's why our condo market is so dominant. That's why we're able to do what we do. And that's why we see stuff ahead of the curve. This is a laboratory for research and development related to condos. As is Dubai, but Dubai's a little bit easier because they're backstopped by all the oil and natural gas money. But here, this is competition. This is effectively, if you want to know what Miami is, next time it rains, and it hasn't rained this hurricane season, I want everybody to go and rent the movie or look up the movie called Gangs of New York. That is what the Miami condo market is. Every developer is one of these different gangs, and they're battling it out in early Manhattan, trying to figure out who's going to dominate the city. And we are all privileged enough to be able to watch it and laugh and criticize at it.
Well, hey, Peter, last week we were actually talking about it, and it's only occurred to me now. You know how we were egging on all these guys to put their name on the building instead of putting the brand? Faena did it. Faena is the only guy who actually put his name on the building.
And now we're laughing.
But hey, you know what? Hats off to him. He's the only guy with enough balls to do it. Enrique, if a developer, I want to give you a little bit of context. Last week, we were talking about how, if you go to Japan, sushi chefs will put their name on the outside of their restaurant because it's an honor thing. Hey, I want to show how awesome I am, how great my sushi is. I'm going to put my name on it because my honor is on the line. So if a developer comes to you and says, hey, Enrique, I got this great lot. I could go the brand thing. We could pick a name out of a hat from the sky, or we could put my name on it. What's stopping you from advising a developer to put their own name on the building? Is that a good idea? Would you advise against that? Because it seems like a guy like Hugo Colombo, who's a very well-respected builder here. I think if he put his name Colombo on a building, it's free for him. It's his name. It's his likeness. He doesn't have to pay St. Regis any money. He just has to pay you to help him through that whole process. Why would that be a bad idea? Is it a bad idea?
It's not that it's bad or good. There's a thing, at least for me, that I use as a rule in real estate that it's really dangerous. That is like, oh yeah, I like it. You like it, but like it's for you. You're gonna live there. The building is for you. A developer develops a building to sell to people. Sometimes you develop something that is for you and you're gonna put, and it makes sense. But like, you need to understand that you are selling a product, like you are putting a product out there, and you need to find. So the way that we do, it's not what Enrique likes or like who likes. It's like I have an audience. That's the positioning of the project. This needs to make sense for this type of audience. They need to go there, pay me 30% down payment, keep me paid, like in the process, move in and live their life. So the question is, will they like to live in a building called like Enrique Drissen? I don't know. Probably not. And I'm really proud of my name. But I'm probably not gonna put there because, again, no disrespecting your comparison, but I'm selling buildings, not sushi. So like it needs to make sense for the project. It needs to make sense. I'm taking a project and I'm putting out there for people to buy. Those people needs to like. And remember, if I have 100 units, 100 people needs to like, and they needs to buy. After that, I move on. I go to my second, do the same thing, go to my third one, and as Peter said, after my third one, I'm good in Miami. So that should be the process, But in terms of branding and how we need to take care, we need to be careful with what I like or what the project deserves. What needs to be done for the project.
No, Enrique, if I can ask you, one of the things they used to do early on is they would bring in celebrities. There's a guy called Dan Marino who played in the NFL down here.
Yeah,
He did very well. I don't know if you follow American gridiron or football,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And they would typically give him a condo in lieu of advertising. A guy called David Guetta, some DJ who was bald and now
yeah.
suddenly has a lot of hair. That was another one. He was involved with the Paraíso over there on like 30th and Biscayne. So that's the way they used to do it. But now it seems like what they do is they leak the fact that somebody like Lionel Messi, and I know you're Brazilian. I don't know if you're a football fan, but I want you to give me an objective opinion. Lionel Messi's brought in, supposedly it was leaked. He bought 4 units in the Cipriani. So all of a sudden, everyone's going to go to Cipriani, even though it's an inferior location. It's a C at best location, probably a C minus. I'm sure the quality would be great,
if that's a C minus, then what's a Mercedes Benz?
Well, Mercedes-Benz was a Hyundai or a Kia location. It was not a Mercedes-Benz. Whoever the heck signed that
Very
deal,
reliable car. If they had a
well
Toyota Land Cruiser Tower, that thing would have been sold out before they could even get the construction loan.
So we're talking about names. What about Lionel Messi? He's getting long in the tooth. He's talking about retiring, and I know you're.
He's got a
Brazilian,
soccer stadium
Brazil,
already.
Argentina.
Just let him go.
But is there juice there by leaking out the fact that Messi supposedly is buying 4 units? And I don't believe he paid for them personally because of what I've seen in the past. But can you address that? Having people like Kim Kardashian maybe have a unit. Having somebody like Ronnie Cycli back in the day, Ugo Colombo, when he put up his first tower.
Yeah, but what happens when somebody gets Me Too? You can't tie it to like a single attack surface because all that person has to do is do like some naughty tweet and you are done, sir.
It's like I did a reporter I think 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago. He was asking exactly like that, how you attach celebrities to the projects, and I think it's dangerous. Of course, if they come in and buy it, whatever. I'm in. You want to buy the unit? Good for us. It depends the way that you treat. If you put, for my opinion, if you do a campaign with a face of the project being a celebrity, that's dangerous. Like a really dangerous. Like something happened, or and you're going to spend like
it's a 5-year process.
If something happened, you're screwed. But if the guy come and you do, I don't know what's the negotiation. If you do like a unit and the guy buy this unit like first time like a half of the price or whatever, and you have that in the budget and you think that's gonna help, that's more like on a sales side, to be honest, instead of like the market. It depending the type of projects, we need to take care even who you put as a face of the project, because then you're gonna start to see people, especially like in a billionaire world for ultra high net worth like projects, that people they have the same amount of money that Lionel Messi, even more. So he's gonna look and say like, I don't want the attention, I don't want these, I don't want people
right. It can go the other way
with that. So can we go the other way? But of course, you have projects that are I believe, again, putting on our work, like the way that we work, if you bring a celebrity that it's related with the project, it makes sense with the project, and kind of like really gonna live there because it makes sense I think it makes sense to do this type of partnerships, and use the celebrity as kind of like a spokesperson, for the project, and say like, yeah, it relates with my lifestyle, I do this and that. But that's like a 0.5% of the times that this happened, to be honest. Normally.
So Enrique, as a Brazilian, and I'm sure you're a fan of the national team, would you buy in a Lionel Messi building who represents Argentina?
But it was designed by Zaha Hadid and built by Ugo Colombo.
The problem
But you see
The
a
problem.
messy. You see a messy
Are
sign when
we?
you're pulling in. You see what is it? A Boca. You see a Boca, which is like the junior team
Are we?
In Argentina.
Are we? Are
Would
we?
you
Are
buy
we
in that
live?
condo?
Are we live? Can we edit later? No, just kidding. Because the problem is we are raised not being allowed to cheer for Argentina. So I can, I cannot leave like a 20 meters
Don't make him
from
answer
Lionel Messi.
that.
No, just
Don't make him answer that. All right, but
just kidding.
hey,
We
Enrique,
love that.
But
Like
he's an
it's
honest
hard to hate
broker.
him. It's hard to hate him. He's a like
but building is easier in Miami versus the rest of the world. I think you already answered that one. Peter, buy, sell, hold on you.
Sell, sell, sell.
I'm a sell.
yeah.
Sell, 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 sell. All right. Hey, you guys heard of Adam Newman? He's a Scandinavian gentleman. I can't say he has a funny accent because I feel like everybody down here has an accent, but he is here now.
True.
He got his start with a little organization called WeWork that went up in flames like Tinder paper, and he's back. He wants to be a real estate developer. He's got Flow House, and he's in the news this week because he secured a $51 million loan from Ladder Capital for his development over there in El Portal, which, Peter, when I was looking at the research of this, he stole right under the nose of Mello Group by like $400K. He outbid them. That was a $71.5 million deal for the old trailer park up there in El Portal, sort of by this cool little area. I'm gonna bring it up on the map for the gang. It's it's right over here, over in on the, what is that? The 70s El Portal. It's right over here. Yeah, we're right over here.
The old, yep.
The Flanagan. They got a
building.
Flanagan's right there.
79. Yep.
And Enrique, I'm curious, not only because in doing some background on you, you were an early client of Mr. Nguyen when you were getting elephant skin off the ground, but
Yeah.
what like this is the single largest check from my own research that Andreessen Horowitz has ever written to an individual. And it's not a tech company, it's a real estate fund. They wrote them a $350 million check. And I get it, real estate in South Florida is expensive, but that is a lot of money to put behind someone who has never developed real estate ever. Is Adam Newman, we were talking about the branding and an individual. This is a guy who lit $47 billion on fire, exited as a billionaire himself, and he's taking checks to build buildings. Is that a good look?
Yeah, I don't know Newman personally, but I have some people tend to look just what happens at the end. But for example, we work when it started. It was a fucking nice vision. He had a vision. He created an idea and a community from scratch, and he made it work. It happens for us. Honestly, we work. It helped us to grow. I went to India in 2019. I didn't know anything about India. I entered WeWork, my internet was connected, and I closed a deal in India, and I had an office. So the idea, the vision, my opinion is he clearly knows how to build visions and convince people. And he has good ideas. What I think he needs, it's people managing that, running what is happening after that. And everything that happens with WeWork, it's crazy, he was like a 40 something billion from one day, and the other day you were nothing. But I think this flow, my opinion, maybe he's trying to prove that the concept works, because it's similar with WeWork. What he's trying to do is, again, community, but it's not for work, it's for residents. So he's trying to grow that. But again, and honestly, I like the WeWork idea. I really like 2016. I was doing a lot of research. I worked with kind of WeWork in 2015, 17, 16. And I was doing like a lot of research on the business model and how they are doing that and how things work. So the vision, the concept about that and what he created and how much people he brought in, that was impressive. That's a positive thing. That's not cancel that. How he manages that, how he made the business run, that was like a lot of mistakes happening there. But like to do what he's doing, he's trying to build a brand that's flow with many projects. I believe in the brand, to be honest. I think it can work if he doesn't do the same mistakes that he did before in terms of management and the background thing. Company is a company, man. You need to have certain limits to know that you need to run as a professional company. And I try. When I opened the company, I used to tell like, hey, every Friday we're going to do barbecues because you're not going to work on Fridays. I work on Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday, I need to do things. So we have those crazy ideas when we start things. In his case, it was like a really skyrocket thing, that became, his start was like a 40 billion thing. But again, I believe that the residential thing, there's a niche for what he's doing. If he manages properly, I think it's going to work. And probably with the history, I think the guy that puts some money, he probably has some securities, and how he's doing what he's doing, for the investment.
Peter, I want you to chime in here because you pulled the veil back on some buys that happened with the Flow House condo project, because there's two sides of this, right? There's the condo side of Flow, and then there's the multifamily side of Flow. Multifamily being rentals, which is this community thing. And by the way, this isn't his first whack at this. There was a pilot program back in the day called We Live, which was like a dormitory style living, and then you could go to work every day in the We Work. And I think there's a vision there, but on the condo side, because he took over this condo project, and he didn't really sell many to individuals, did he, Pete?
No. He wasn't able to sell them to one-offs to individuals, so he had to bundle them and sell them to who? Private equity. The guy's got relationships. He's got the hookups. He's got the access. Listen, if he was on the West Coast, he'd be rocking and rolling. Problem is, he's on the East Coast. I have a cousin lives out in San Francisco, Walnut Creek, and I went out there and they were thinking about moving to Miami. And I asked her, said, "You got any questions?" She goes, "Yeah. Do you guys recycle?" That's her first question to me. We don't recycle here in Miami, just to be clear.
I thought it used to go to Malaysia, or it goes to the incinerator. Do we even have an incinerator anymore?
No. China's not buying it anymore, and they used to dump it in Cambodia and whatever, a bunch of different stuff. But the point is, Adam Newman's perfect, but not for this coast. He's like Larry Page of Google. He's like Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. He's like Alex Karp from Palantir, who got run out of Colorado, so he came on down to Florida. I got a little surprise for these guys. What they're doing in their hometown is no different than what developers who come out of town and come to Miami try to do. One and done, and they piss off. Now, because of access that Adam Newman has, he's going to be able to peddle condos, but does he have long-term? Is there duration? Does he have staying power? Will he be able to fight to live another day? It's one thing when the market's going up and everybody's a rock star and nobody needs any kind of advice. It's another thing when it starts to get tough and you start to grind it out. And then, like Warren Buffett says, you don't know who's swimming naked till the tide goes out. So I would just tell you, Adam Newman is going to be the poster boy for representing the West Coast influx into South Florida in 2021, 2022, 2023, when Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said you don't have to wear a mask because all the big bad blue states are mandating it. Also, two companies said you could work from home, and Miami Beach said you could get out of the police car on Ocean Drive and you could twerk. Those were the go-go days. That's when Adam Newman's pitch, his shtick made sense. Now, we're going to a little bit different market, and if he's not a developer, he's going to get chewed up and spit out. That's why, like Enrique said earlier, the developers who just do it year after year after year, they know how it's done. 3 deals on the board till you're legit. I would short. If I could short this, I'd short the heck out of this because the guy hasn't done anything here. Great with Regis and all that stuff, but take the concept, brand it out, give Enrique a call at Elephant Skin, tell him what you want to do, let him set it up, and go with a real developer. Adam, you're never going to do it. I don't care how much money you tap into. You're not going to do it.
But here's tell us, Enrique. They have to listen to me yap every Friday. You say it now.
No, I would say that like he was. I understand this West Coast East Coast thing that you mentioned, but like he was always like on the East Coast. He was
We
like
got
the
WeWork
everything
started
started
in New
like in New
York, right?
York, New
Right.
York. So, but I understand the concept. I understand what you were saying. But I
But the
think what
money's
he
coming from
should
the
do,
West Coast.
I think what he should do that I like it work. Let's get attached to the first concept that we were talking about, the branded residence. He's a good guy that understands how to take a brand and plug with a developer. If he takes flow, the amount the community that he's building, and put attached to a respectful developer, I think that should work like really well because he doesn't need to jump in the developer side that it's a gangs in New York film.
But
But
that's what
like,
he did with
if
You
you,
like
Shatreat.
that?
if,
You like
Shatreat
that gangs in New York?
Shatreat
but
didn't
if
finish their project. They wanted to take money off the table. Adam Newman said, "I got all the money in the world," and he took that project. He didn't have to. Has Adam even put a shovel in the ground, Pete?
No,
No.
no, no, no. He hasn't put a
honestly,
shovel in the
he
ground. No.
honestly he has something that for me it's really important in the people forget the developer. The reason like why you are a developer because you're gonna develop a new thing. You're not supposed to go there copy and paste. You're gonna understand the area, you're gonna understand the place, and you're gonna have a vision. He has a vision, and it's a good thing. If he map it out and find the amount of developers that doesn't have idea on what to develop, but already got the land, already got everything, and the spreadsheet it's bright and shine, and the numbers are there. And if you take like his idea, plug there, and make it work, that could be a good branded. But I don't know if this is even considered today like a branded resident, because it's. But I think in this case that should work. And again, he has the people that are gonna put the build up, he has everything that's going to run, and he has the vision and plug the brand so he can create the community what he's good at.
You know what?
But Enrique, there's something called a change order. You start building because you're a general contractor, you love them, and all of a sudden you got a change order and you're getting jammed up here, you're getting jammed up here. That's why a Brazilian developer, one of your brethren, told me when you come to Miami, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you leave with. Because at the end of the day, Miami
Yeah.
will chew you up. And shout out to Vlad with the Una, shout out to Vlad with the Masoni, shout out to Vlad with the office building. And many of them walk away, they're one and done, although Mr. Faina has come back.
Mr. Fine is back. But Enrique, you said something interesting, and I was thinking about this before we came on the show. So you look at these venture capitalists. The venture capitalists, they're not Tyco Capital. They're not some family office out of Brazil. This is Anderson Horowitz we're talking about here. So these guys have a risk tolerance that no one. I don't even want to walk into their office. They have so much risk awareness. I mean, they're throwing money at moonshot AI to give even a rookie developer like Adam Newman $350 million. This is the most risk averse investment that Andreessen Horowitz has made in a decade. So could one even say, guys, that this is a hedge? They're like, you know what? He knows the brand thing. Why don't we just surround him with some smart kids who can do spreadsheets and underwrite these deals? Just make sure he doesn't overpay too much for stuff. And then if all this AI stuff goes to complete hell, at least we got these assets.
But that's why, like, I don't honestly, with all the history and what I can say here, it's what I think about Newman, and I really believe, and I try really not to judge completely. I put in separate ways the vision and the guy doing business. I think there's a line here, and the bad and the good parts. But I don't know how was the deal. I don't know if like he put 350 and like the Newman gave like the assets that he has as a guarantee. I don't know. I don't know how it happens.
They just like to
So
throw the big numbers
this
around.
this part, yeah, this part, I really cannot judge and say like because it would be different if he goes there and say like I'm gonna give you 350, but you give him like I don't know that amount of money like in assets as a guarantee because I don't know. I don't know if this happened, and I'm not saying that happens, but with the whole history, that changed something. I think like if I have the money, I would invest on him on that vision. Yes and no. I would separate things really clear because again, I like the vision that he did for WeWork. I don't like him running the business, the way that he's doing. So bring him in to be like on the board, to kind of like direct what you're gonna do, what type of products, but like have a true developer. My prerequisite would be like, okay, who's your co-developer?
Right.
Who
Who's your Tim Cook?
Who exactly? But again, I don't know the backstage. Like I don't know how was the negotiation in terms of the money thing.
All right, I got to move us on and keep us honest with time. This has been titillating, by the way, and we're 55 minutes in, and I'm only going into the fourth topic. Enrique, I'm going to ask you, can you stick on for an extra 10 minutes? I know everybody else wants to go to happy hour, but guys, you got to hang out with us. Buy, sell, hold. Newman's unlimited cash is flowing into Miami. Seems like it is. I'm a buy.
I'm a buy.
I'm buy. Peter?
Get
on the choo-choo
I'm gonna
train.
Begrudgingly be a buy.
All right. So we had sent Enrique another topic, but then there was some breaking news, Peter, that our boy KB, Ken Billions, that's Ken Griffin, if you're just joining us for the first time, has closed on part of Moishe Mana's ginormous assemblage over there in Wynwood. For a little bit of context for Enrique or anybody joining us for the first time, Mr. Mana, who we talked about last week, we talk about quite a bit because he owns quite a lot of real estate in town. He got here in 2009 when he bought what is currently known as the Mono Wynwood convention site. If you've ever been to the Real Deal or been to a concert for like a B or C band, you've probably been to Mono Wynwood. And there was a rumor back in January, just a rumor, unsubstantiated, and if whoever the intern was who leaked this, if you need a job, buy, sell, hold, we're taking interns. It's not paid though. There was a rumor that the Ken Griffin camp and the Moishe Mana camp, they got together and they were talking about a $700 million holy cannoli transaction. Both camps said absolutely not. That is just a rumor, and they squashed it. And then yesterday, Real Deal, around this time, about 24 hours ago, they came out and said that sources point that it was indeed happening, that some of parts of that assemblage had already closed on, and they don't really know what it's going to close at. $700 million, $1 billion. We have no idea. And this is coming off the heels of back in January, Ken Billions already bought a $300+ million office building just across the way there. So is Ken Billions becoming the largest landowner in Wynwood? What the hell is he going to do with it? Is this count as his third project, third, fourth, fifth project? I don't even know how many projects Ken Billion has going on in Miami. All I know is that Moishe Mana has a big tax bill and a heavy carry, and Ken Billions is apparently taking them out. So, fourth topic for you guys. If Ken builds it, they will come. What the hell? My hair is on fire.
If they don't come, he brings everyone. So like,
well, he brings everyone, but I mean, one of our topics last week was putting the cart before the horse. I mean, is Wynwood the field of dreams of Miami, or just the most expensive parking lot in the United States?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple things. Ken Billions got no proven track record in real estate here. Anybody who's advised him on real estate is terrible. Ken, you want some good advice about what you ought to be doing with your real estate, because all your purchases so far, you have overpaid. I know you got more money than God. I know you're collecting half a penny off every stock that trades. But that being said, your real estate instincts are terrible. Moishe Mana bought a BK bankrupt foreign trade zone. How the hell does a foreign trade zone go BK? How does it happen?
They don't trade.
What happened there? Moishe was able to pick it up for a song. Wynwood was a disaster. Moishe went in there. He took advantage of what old man Tony Goldman was doing, getting Wynwood off the ground, buying stuff from a guy called Larry Mizrak. And what happened? Moishe's going to wave a guy called Tony Cho. That's an old school name. This is the guy who was brokering a lot of deals in and around there. He was known because he brought in a Ducati motorcycle brand right there on 29th in North.
Do we have a Ducati tower yet?
No. We need one. Tony, next time you're down in Miami because you're spending time in Jacksonville, get your ass down here and you need to put a
Jacksonville, that's a
on
stone's throw away from Jackson's Hole. I think he went to the wrong Jackson.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is, Moishy's tapping out. Who's getting stuck holding the bill is going to be Ken Billions. Ken, you always pay too much for your stuff. What are you probably going to do with it? I bet he's turning it into housing. He'd make a little
housing,
make
or what about education? He can't donate enough money to Gulliver. I think he only got like 20 spots for what did he spend? Every building's going to have his name on it. He's going to build your own freaking school. That's what he's got to do.
That was happening in West Palm.
We did a segment. We did a segment about a month ago talking about the schools. You got the Green School, you got the Ross School, you got the this school, that school, because there's nowhere to put anybody, and they're having to import talent. And that talent, if you're a senior executive and you're highly paid, that probably means that you got some rugrats that you're coming in tow. Where are you going to go in school? Like you got a few rugrats, right, Enrique? So if somebody says, I'm going to pay you $2 million a year, you got to move to South Florida, uproot your family of 5, but they can't go to school. It's a non-starter. You just can't do it. What do you homeschool your kids?
Yeah, but how do you get there? How do you get to this location? So let's
say
there's
no access.
How exactly are you going to drive to that location if your office supposedly is going to be on Brickell Avenue?
Chopper.
So you're going to
just like in Brazil, right, Enrique? The helicopter did so well in Brazil.
Yeah, it's like I heard. I don't know if I saw in the news. I know that came up like short, like before we were speaking.
I think I emailed you like 2 hours before the show. I really dropped this one on Mr. Dresden.
No, but I think I was talking something about like the education part and kind of like he has the executives that you were mentioned. He has that. He has those people. He's bringing those executives to Miami. So I don't know, but you guys are more like expert on that than me. Saying that like he pays too much. It's a lot. Let's consider that like he pays.
But what is too much when you can't spend it fast enough?
But again, depends like exactly. If he's not doing like the regular real estate thing, and he's doing his own thing, and he's gonna do like an educational master plan or whatever, what is too much? Like his math makes sense. Like he's gonna put there, he's gonna bring a university or like a whatever, like in terms of science and education. If the math makes sense, what is too much? I agree with the question. Like maybe it makes sense. Like and maybe Moshmana was like in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, listen,
he tapped out. Moishimana, he needs
Moishi hasn't built anything down here. He's got to build. He needs it for Flagler.
Yeah, he came in the right time. He's talking about legacy. He's getting long in the tooth, Moishi. Hey, and Moishi, get your ass on our podcast. I want to ask you a bunch of questions. But what I would say is Moishi needs the money in order to do Flagler. In terms of Wynwood, it's played out already. Yeah. You got Michelin star restaurants. That's not what it was. Locals aren't going to go there. It's going to be a place where people are going to parachute in.
He's building a neighborhood. This is not the Tony Goldman Wynwood. This is not the vision that Goldman had. Goldman wanted to make a Soho. This ain't going to be Soho. This is going to be this is going to be Ken Billions' vision.
But he's got no vision. That's the point. He's not a real estate guy. He's great.
Hire this guy. Maybe they needed some advice from the guy sitting below me over here. I mean, it's a lot of land. We're talking like 30, 40 acres here.
But you mentioned something that it's true, like in terms of the vision, that the vision was to become like a Soho or something like that. But in Miami happened something that people start to do everything for yesterday. So you can see like that some buildings are like the same, like they don't have like more the style or the architecture. Of course, you
commodities,
have some, but
commodities.
Like, and after this starts to happen, forget the vision. Like the vision went like down the drain, like it's and if you have the vision for Wynwood that are like the old days, like to become like a Soho vibe and with the same style, it's hard. You need kind of like a guardian, like to keep that vision alive and make the developers and create like an approval process. Right now, you have buildings that are like, hey, we need a project, we need to approve for yesterday. Don't overcomplicate it. Let's put there and let's sell. And that's my opinion, is not the right way. And I think Miami has a phase that it starts to do that and forget a little bit about the development and the area and how to do things properly, And that's why you have some beauties that like, it's a white box. Done.
So
Boom.
I
Just
I don't
to
I don't know who this is attributed to, but I found this quote and I wrote it down somewhere, and it just rings so true to what you just said. But it's nothing ages as fast as yesterday's idea of tomorrow. And in a
yeah.
building, in the best of scenarios, it takes 4 years to put up from ideation to completion, and it's just
Yeah.
it's a bad place to experiment with being a coattail rider. You really have to be a visionary or hire someone to be a visionary for you, because if you're just trying to put the next helipad on your building by copying somebody else or putting the next pickleball court, it's not going to end well.
If I need to have like maybe like 20 extra hands to count the amount of meetings that I went there and was just like no, we're putting the money, like I already have the architect. No, just put like a lipstick on a pig here and we're gonna approve the project, and we're good to go, and that's it. Why? Because they hooked the investor that was coming outside, so they come with the money, they present the project, and they need to make everything run fast. And that's why, like,
Quick money.
again,
Quick money. It doesn't
yeah,
exist.
and that's why I think Miami, there's the Miami before COVID, that was moving fast. And then you have Miami COVID and post-COVID, and you're gonna have another Miami, that is the Miami that I think gonna adjust. It's not now, probably it's not gonna be next year or maybe next 2 years, but I think it's gonna adjust. And we already have people, like moving out of Miami to kind of like that's too crazy, that it's too busy. There's no so it's challenge again. Come back into the other topic. It's challenge to be in Miami, to keep the vision. And honestly, when I was there, like doing projects in 2006, I met Tony Cho like before. So really
Oh, you
nice
know
guy.
Tony. All right.
Yeah. But then I met them like a couple of years ago, and he was doing a lot of nice stuff like in Wynwood. But today, like, why do we need to approve a project in Wynwood to put like a graffiti in the wall? Like, that's not the vision, that's not the idea that you should do. It's more about the uses and how you need to protect. So the product should sell. I did the interview that I mentioned about the celebrity. Like, if you put something, you need to do a question. Your project without the brand or without the celebrity or it sell by itself. If the answer is no, maybe you have a product problem, and you need to jump in the product and adjust the product, and both needs to work like side by side. And I think Wynwood area, it's an area that should sell by itself. The whole concept about Wynwood, it's supposed to be for people that understand that area, that likes. I have a lot of people that hate Soho in New York. I love it. It's a vibe that I like. But it's not for everyone. I think Wynwood should be that way. And now I think we're trying to transform Wynwood in regular neighborhood, like with the same type of buildings and residential. And I don't think that should be the vision, for the area.
If Ken builds it, they will come. Pete.
I'd be a pound of table sell. I think Ken Griffin's going to go down as Jeff Green does in West Palm Beach. Jeff Green's a guy who shorted the housing market and made a ton of cash that led to basically the Great Recession. He came down to Miami, tried to play a little bit in Miami Beach. I think he ran for governor or something, or Senate, crapped out. Wanted to be like Rick Scott. He crapped out. He moved up to West Palm Beach, bought a bunch of dirt. Does anybody even know him? You mentioned West Palm Beach. Nobody's even going to drop his name. I think that's
the Green School. He's one of the guys who are building one of these schools, right?
Yeah, Ken, listen, what you need to do is build a big ass data center, put your housing on top of it, make it all nice and good, and everybody will be happy. Make a data center, Ken. Tear that Mana Center, old foreign trade zone, rip that damn thing down, put up a data center and housing on top.
He's just going to be like, the data center thing in Miami. By the way, talk about yesterday's idea of tomorrow. Manny Medina built a data center downtown before anybody knew how to spell data center. Moishe Manas had data centers in New York and New Jersey before anybody knew what information technology was. I got to keep us honest with time, though. If Ken builds it, they will come, Enrique.
I'm gonna hold.
He's going to hold. I'm going to hold with him. I don't have
Smart man.
enough information about this. I don't know
Yeah.
what parcels he's doing. I don't know what the plan is. They're probably going to throw AI into the mix just because it's a buzzword. Ken still hasn't taken us out to lunch yet, which I'm clearly upset about. Maybe someone in Enrique's camp knows somebody at the Griffin camp and they could put us together, or not. I don't want to put you on a spotlight, but you know what? If he invites us to lunch, and Peter, I'm going to pass it through by you. But you think we can invite Mr. Dresden with us? Maybe that's the only way we get in. Actually, all right.
Only if he picks me up because I haven't had a car since 2013.
All right, last one of the day. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us. I know it's Friday, but this is great. Thank you, Mr. Dresden. So Miami for 100 years, we have been tooting the Wall Street of the South. But the reality is, we're the cruise ship capital of the world, of der Munde, as they would say in the old country. I'm not German, but hey, fatherland, right? So, cruise ship capital of the world, $61 billion a year, and that includes cruises and cargo, and that's Port Miami, the Dodge Island, that where Government Cut is. Enrique, have you ever taken a cruise out of Miami? Are you a cruiser?
Not a, not out of Miami. I
Mean,
just did one cruise in my
oh,
life,
where?
like one. It was in Rio de
There you
Janeiro.
go. So,
It was the only cruise that I did, but like we did many cruise ships in terms of projects, but
and
never
that's why I wanted
one
to
way.
include this on the rundown. So Enrique, Elephant Skin doesn't just do developers. I saw there was a case study on your website, something about a ship. So
Yeah,
I brought it up because we've been talking a lot about branding condos. Well, cruises are basically real estate that floats, right? So do you
kind
think
of like to
there's
take the building and flip it and put it on the
right?
water
It's
and
just
make it
it.
float.
It's an engineering marvel. I mean, if you don't have to drive too far
Yeah,
to see these giant ships in Port Miami.
yeah.
So, are we going to see a world where we're going to see branded cruise ships? Because I know the hospitality brands are already doing it. You got the Four Seasons
But
one, you got the Ritz
we're
one.
we're seeing already. Like I think it was Alo did a yacht thing
Aloe, like
with Alo,
Air, Land,
Alo, the brand.
Ocean, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
athleisure.
yeah, yeah. I think Four Seasons did it. I think Aman is launching a yacht. So a lot of brands are, and honestly, in that area, it makes sense, because it's a yacht, and you go there and sometimes you have like yachts with like just a small amount of units, and you go there and anyway, you sell an exclusive vacation or like whatever. So it makes sense, but some brands are doing that already, and we have a project right now that happens in Brazil, and it's a branded one with a hospitality company, and we did a partnership with Azimut, so they kind of like have this collaboration. So it makes sense, but of course, it's not like cruise ships. We're talking about like big yachts, like
Right,
super
like
ultra
it's a
luxury
white
yachts.
label kind of one-off experience. I've seen, like, if you go to Antarctica, you can get on the National Geographic. And does National Geographic have its own boat?
Yeah.
Maybe they do, but I think they charter a vessel and then they slap the brand on it, and that's the experience I'm going after. I want to go hang out with wildlife
But
photographers.
yeah, but I think maybe I'm wrong, but like I think Amman or Ritz or Four Seasons, they are doing it's a yacht that you go there and you can buy. You have the seasons that the yachts it's out there, and you can stay like a kind of like a cruise, but like a more boutique, high end style than the big cruise.
Right, literally the furthest thing away you can get from a Carnival cruise ship.
Oh yeah, yeah, really, really far from the whole craziness and like entertainment thing that happens in the cruise. But it's a really interesting market. Like I didn't know we're focused on real estate, dedicated like 100% to real estate. But kind of the cruise ship came as a hospitality side that we are into as well, and we have some projects regarding to hospitality. But it's an interesting market. The amount of work and like and it's a city, like you need to build a city floating over the water, and the things that happens, like inside the amount of restaurants, and we collaborate a lot with one architect that does a lot of projects for urban, for Royal Caribbean, and it's really interesting the way that things happen. It's similar. What I see is like it's similar with the developer, but kind of like answers one of your first questions. They kind of like imagine like the hotel he's developing, so he's kind of like building the ship, the cruise. So
Oh yeah, there you go.
The brand is the hotel brand.
The operator is the developer.
And the developer.
I want to ask you something, and I think this is a great way to sort of close out the show. So we think of Miami. Think of Miami as its own brand, right? And we're trying to get people to come here. We got a lot of tourism here, and over on Port Miami, and I'm going to bring it up so everybody can see. Over here in Port Miami, it's this big port. It's this industrial eyesore where if you're on the wrong side of it, it's not pretty. But look at this giant island. And I just told you that cruise ships make up such a significant portion of the GDP here. Tourism. Peter put this idea out when we were talking about, and I won't get into it too much, but there are these fuel terminals over here on Fisher Island that the residents here on Fisher Island, they don't want. And so they've told the port, hey, we don't want these here. Why don't you move them to the port? But the problem is that there's no place to really put them on the port. So Peter floated this idea, and I wanna get your branding expertise opinion on it. What if we told the cargo ships, go up to Port Everglades, go to Fort Lauderdale. We're going to turn this whole thing into a tourist attraction, cruises only. You got 10 berths right there, double it. Make it 20. We're already the biggest cruise ship in the world. We'll be the biggest cruise ship terminal in the world times 2. Do you think that Miami would benefit from branding this exclusively just for cruise ships? Because I don't think cargo really does anything for us here.
I think if you do that and you're able to do that, like every single terminal, every single company, Royal Caribbean and other companies, all of them gonna be, like to pitch in and to do that.
No, you could even build condos on this thing. You could do the Riva condo. You could do the Azimut condo building. It could be a complete marine-themed condo hospitality development.
Especially Miami with those companies. I think that I'm pretty sure that it's not like I don't know, it's Miami, but maybe it is a possibility. But I consider that it's
it's always possible.
It's always possible, but that I believe that like especially on an island like that, that you can. I think all those companies would be interesting to.
Let me show you the views from the south side of the terminal.
And honestly, you can do a really nice master plan project like in a place like this, and you kind of like I don't know how Miami sees that, honestly, reducing the amount of like tourists that arrives on the cruise or keeping and that's a math for the city, like what's going to make more money, the tourists that you have like 60 plus billions doing that, or the tax that you're going to generate of people, like using that area or living there. But you're saying that you're going to keep the cruise. So even though you just benefit from that idea, you should do that, like assemble the sites, pitch to the city. And that's a good idea.
Oh, we pitch to the city every Friday at 4:00 here. You're part of it today. We don't know if anybody's watching. Apparently they are, because they did finally start that Ludlam Trail, Pete.
I love it.
They did.
You know, Enrique, we were saying with the gantry cranes, which moved the 20-foot containers of TEUs, 20-foot equivalent. We could put bungee jumps on there, make those rides. So you could almost turn it into a downtown Disney, but for adults. And you could have parties. You could have Ultra there, any big festival going on there. You got cruises around the side. You put in some infrastructure. That thing could be a cash cow, just like David Beckham's doing with Jorge Mas.
Honestly,
and Messi out with that new stadium.
You have a lot of like places that kind of like regenerated the port, and that became a big thing. Like I have a lot of
Washington D.C. did that with the Navy Pier, right?
Washington D.C., Puerto Madero. Anyway,
Navy Pier, Chicago, Argentina, Buenos Aires, Old Man Faina.
Oh yeah, the Faina district over there in over there in Buenos Aires, absolutely.
A lot of good cases, that
it's just so valuable. I mean,
yeah,
how
for
many
sure.
how many acres is this, Pete? What's the acreage over here?
Let me ask AI. Well, what I would say, and it's got a tunnel. You can control access on, access off. You can do something like they have in Singapore. Remember when Donald Trump met with the North Korean leader? They went to some little secluded island. You could turn this thing into anything. Or you know what? Put data centers there, Daniel. Let's just line up a
You
series
and the
of data
data
centers. That
center
would be
thing.
perfect.
I'm gonna cut off your AI account. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop your AI token usage. All right, guys. I gotta call it, but I want to say thank you to Mr. Dressen.
520 acres.
520
Wow.
acres. That's like way more than Ken Billions just took Moishe Mana out of Wynwood for. I mean, hey, buy, sell, hold. Miami is the cruise capital of the world or the Wall Street of the South. If it's the Wall Street of the South, you're going to sell it for me. If it's cruise capital of the world, you're going to buy it for me.
I think I'm gonna go to Dubai
My man,
for the
I'm
cruise.
buying. I know where this guy's
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Peter's a buy.
Yeah, I'm a buy on the cruise. Wall Street South, that's 100 years old. Hey, by the way, 3 weeks to the
Yeah.
100-year anniversary of the Great Miami Hurricane, which basically stopped the Great Florida land boom of the 1920s and ultimately led, some would argue, Black Friday, the Great Depression, in addition to protective stance by Old Man Hoover.
But that's not going to happen here. It's an El Nino year, Peter. It means very dry Atlantic basin. I mean, come on. I know you only watch the Spanish language news meteorologist, but they tell you the same thing.
Hey, I would watch the Portuguese ones too if there's a good channel that you could recommend, Enrique.
Enrique, thank
Exactly.
you so much for coming on the show. Did you have a good time? I hope
Man, it
Peter
was
wasn't
fun.
too mean to you.
No.
No, it was
Ah,
fun.
come
It was,
on.
I think it was really nice. You guys
It was really
nice.
nice. Look, this is a guy. Everybody, if you want to come on the show, guys, or if we've asked you to come on the show and you're kind of blowing us off because you think we're going to be awful, we're not. We're fair. We have a good time. And Rick, you can come back whenever you want.
Thank you.
And we'll put a pin in that conversation when if Griffin reaches out to us, we'll let you know. But if he reaches out to you, you got to let us know. And it's kind of like a suicide pact, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I commit
With
to
that, all right. With that, everybody, that's episode number 66. It is September next week. Does that mean it's Labor Day next Monday? That is freaking incredible. Yeah. The sunlight is shining down at around 7-ish in the morning. I can tell that the light is changing a little bit. But we hope you all had a great time. Thanks for hanging out for a whole hour and 22 minutes with us. We'll see you next Friday, as we do every Friday after that, at 4-ish p.m. Eastern. Thanks, everybody. Ciao.